Hello everyone and welcome to NFL Discussion. I'm your host and NFL enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing Thursday Night Football, Week 14 of the 2023 NFL season. And while on paper this had the makings of an ugly Thursday night game, and if you watched both of the offenses play in this game, yeah, it was an ugly game from a performance standpoint. The score got out of hand surprisingly. Yes, it was like 21-3, I think, at one point in favor of the Patriots, and then the Steelers attempted a rally, which was certainly impressive. I'll give them credit. They tried. They failed in the end because apparently on 4th and 2, you have to throw it like it's 4th and 10. You have to throw a pass. That would make it seem like it was actually 4th and 10. So just bad offensive performances, and then also on defense too. She's not making enough stops, but then again, can't really blame the defense too much when you're on the field more than the offense is. And with that, we're going to get right into the action, starting with the New England Patriots. Bailey Zappi started hot for this struggling team, although he kind of faded after the second half. So he had a good first half and then an ugly second half. But lucky for him, Ezekiel Elliott decided to turn back the clock and help him and the team grind out the win. Zappi had 3 touchdowns on the game, and the 3 touchdown outing was a career first for a player who had entered proceedings with just 5 career scores. It was a tale of 2 halves for Zappi, who entered the break with 196 yards in all 3 of his TDs before managing only 44 yards in the last 2 quarters. Zappi was making plays earlier, none prettier than the second of his 2 scores to Hunter Henry, where he executed a pump fake, and then delivered a frozen rope over the safety's coverage. The second half was more the real Zappi, where he was just lucky to escape with only 1 giveaway. Still, better effort than anything Mac Jones ever managed in the season in 2023, but don't be hitting on 17 with Zappi against the Chiefs in Week 15. Ezekiel Elliott was coming off his first 20-touch effort of the season and making a short week spot in place of Ramondre Stevenson. He got home on the game's opening drive of 11-yard receiving score. Beyond that, it was just a lot of brick walling and a dull, ugly game. But Zeke understood the assignment, so yeah, the yards aren't pretty. 22 carries for 68 yards, but the receiving line is certainly impressive. 7 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown, and I think that's where he kind of contributed more. So the yards might not be flashy, but it helped grind out the win. Hunter Henry had a couple of touchdowns. His first 2-touchdown performance in nearly 2 years. Last time that happened, December 18th of 2021. All of his production came before halftime, before Bailey Zappi and the offense imploded after the break. For score number 1, Henry and Zappi split the safeties for a nice touch pass. For number 2, Henry caught a frozen rope after an excellent pump fake. A nice night for Hunter Henry on his birthday too, nonetheless. Also, a performance that he has 0 chance of repeating in Week 15 against the Chiefs. Pittsburgh Steelers. So Mitchell Trubisky had 2 touchdowns in this game, 1 through the air and 1 on the ground, but he was getting wildly booed for most of the first half. An interception where he was goaded into the miscue by Jabril Peppers was the catalyst, while Trubisky was lucky to escape with only 1 giveaway after a second one got called back by a penalty. Trubisky had a little more moxie after the break, but that's not surprising considering the Steelers were chasing a 2-score deficit. Afraid to pull the trigger on tight window throws, Trubisky might as well have not even been out there. With the Steelers spiraling hard after a couple of bad losses, Trubisky's going to be a liability in Week 15 if he is indeed the starter. Najee Harris was out there for the first play, seemingly unbothered by the knee issue he came into the game with as he outsnapped and outtouched Jalen Warren again. Unfortunately, neither back could get anything going against the Patriots defense that knew the play was to put the game on Trubisky's shoulders. The backup quarterback responded by playing terrible. Despite his continued group on 1A duties, Harrison isn't scoring enough or catching enough passes to move the needle. He had 3 catches for 19 yards and 12 carries for 29 yards. Deontay Johnson scored a touchdown in this game, finding the end zone for the second time in as many games with Mitch Trubisky under center. Not that anyone is really celebrating a 3-50 57-1 line. Johnson's score was a third quarter 25-yarder with the Steelers down 21-3. He got a step on the corner and made a nice dive and grab in the end zone. 24 more of Johnson's yards came in the very definition of garbage time. Johnson's production has proven to be underwhelming after he got off to a hot start this year, though the Colts are not an opposing Week 15 matchup. The problem is, same is true of Mitch Trubisky for Indy. So after this loss, the Steelers' playoff hopes take a huge hit so they lose to the Cardinals, a previous 2-10 team, and then they lose to the Patriots, another team that was 2-10. So now they all drop to 8th in the playoff rankings, being leapfrogged by the Texans, who now hold that number 7 spot, and then the Broncos right behind them at number 9. And honestly, I think Kenny Pickett was not really having a season that was not having a good season, but Mitchell Trubisky clearly isn't gonna. I don't know if he's gonna be able to lead this team to the playoffs. With how well the Texans are playing, it seems inevitable that they grab a playoff spot. And the Broncos, they did lose that game to the Texans, but the Broncos are a better football team than the Steelers, so I don't see how the Broncos are able to rally after their loss to the Texans, beat the Chargers, and then jump over the Steelers and take the number 8 spot in the postseason. I'm not saying that giving the Chargers isn't guaranteed win. There's no such thing as easy wins. I don't believe in that, but it's hard to see the Steelers making the postseason after what has happened in back-to-back weeks. And when you think about the late game execution, it was ugly for both sides, but certainly more worse on the Steelers. Granted, they are not at fault for that false start called on the long snapper on that punting play. That was just absolutely terrible refereeing, but aside from that, though, the offense just did not execute. And Mitchell Trubisky, I talked about in the open how he attempted a rally, being down 21-3 and then putting up 15 points to make it 21-18. But overall, he struggled, and the Steelers fans clearly not happy about it. Certainly let him know. Will the Steelers make a switch to Mason Rudolph? You might as well. I think one game is all you need to see. I think one game was more than enough. He saw, everything you needed to see, and just make the switch, see what happens. I talked about your playoff hopes are taking a hit. If you care about trying to make the playoffs, then you got to make a move that makes it seem like you care. And if you stick with Trubisky, it just kind of seems like it sends off the impression that you're mailing it in. Whereas at the very least, when you make a switch to Rudolph, it makes it seem like you're trying. So I guess we'll see if the Steelers, what kind of impression they want to send. And with that will conclude this episode of NFL Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below.